Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So in the last purport we read, Prabhupada made reference to something, and so what he's referring to is here in Shreemad-Bhägavatam. Lord Shiva, at this time, his wife's name is Sati. She's Durga, but at this time she is known as Sati. She is the daughter of Daksha. And only because of Lord Brahma's insistence was she given to Lord Shiva. Because Daksha is a very aristocratic Brahmana and didn't like the idea that he had to give his pet, the youngest of all of his daughters, the one he liked the most. Brahma said, you should give to Lord Shiva. And he didn't like that he had to do that, but he had to. So when that yajna came, Daksha entered the arena. Everybody stood up because Brahma had appointed Daksha, you are the chief now of all the Prajapatis. Brahma gave him very special honor. So it went to his head. As Prabhupada writes in one of his purports, when a person is elevated to a position, human psychology is you automatically think you're qualified. That's a human thing. That you may not have any qualifications, but if somebody puts you in a position, like tomorrow if they made me president, I would think, of course, what took them so long to recognize? And you would see me on the TV. I would automatically think I was qualified. So Daksha, it went to his head, and he's already puffed up, aristocratic. So when he entered the sacrificial arena, he started to criticize and blaspheme Lord Shiva. Because everyone in the assembly stood up, but Lord Shiva didn't. And Daksha is thinking, this is my son-in-law? He's not showing his father any respect? So he was very annoyed, and he openly blasphemed and criticized Lord Shiva. The reason Lord Shiva didn't stand up, because Lord Shiva was in Samadhi. He was meditating on Krishna in the heart. And there was a big ruckus, and there was cursing by the followers of Daksha, and there was counter-cursing by the followers of Lord Shiva. While all this is going on, Lord Shiva remains silent. Finally, Lord Shiva leaves. Later on, Sati and Lord Shiva, husband and wife, are discussing various things. And Sati wants to again go to her father's house for a yajna, but Lord Shiva has not been invited. So there's a discussion. One of the things Lord Shiva says, my dear Sati, I don't offer obeisances to the person who identifies with their body. I pay obeisances to Krishna in that person's body. He said many things to Sati, one of which was, if you go, it is going to be very disastrous. And it's exactly what happened. She went, she was again insulted, she gave up her body by self-immolation. But that's not what I want to talk about. The verse that Prabhupada is referring to in that purport. Here is the verse. Sattvam vishuddham vasudeva shabditam. Yadiyate tatra pumana pavrita. Satve chatasmin bhagavan vasudevo. Yadhoksajo me namasa vadhiyate. So this is the words of Lord Shiva. I would beg, if you would please repeat. It's in the Bhagavatam, so please repeat. So this is again, Shiva Uvacha. I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. So this state of pure Krishna consciousness is known as Vasudev. This is the same state Devaki and Vasudev were in when Krishna appeared in Devaki's womb. Because the description in the Bhagavatam was that Krishna first appeared in the heart of Vasudev. Vasudev initiated Devaki, then Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki. In order for Devaki and Vasudev to be the father and mother of Krishna, they have to be on this, like we said at the very beginning, Brahma Bhuyaya spiritual platform, or the state of Vasudeva, which Prabhupada mentioned in that last purport of the Bhagavad Gita. You have to be on this pure state of Krishna consciousness, Vasudeva, in order to conceive Vasudeva. Now notice, I love this verse, especially if I'm with people who are Shiva Bhaktas. I'm not saying, what is your Devata saying? Lord Shiva, not Nirantara, Lord Shiva says, I, Lord Shiva, am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vas. And who's Vasudeva?
Krishna.
Aha. Okay? And it says, now, there's some very nice words in the Sanskrit. All right? One of my favorite words, adhoksaja. Everyone say. So, adhoksaja means that God is transcendental. He's beyond the range of the material mind and senses. So the question then becomes, and this is a question that is the basis of the opening section of the chapter in the Bhagavatam, Prayers by the Personified Vedas. Maharaj Parikshit says to Shukadev, well, if God is at Hoksaja, if he's beyond the range of the senses, then why are we striving for spiritual life? He's beyond the range of the senses. What's the point? Makes sense, right? If something is beyond your reach, right? Say, you want to get something, no matter, even if you try to jump, can't break the piñata. In Panama last week, I saw the Hindu version of piñata. They have this, matki. Oh, you know. So in Panama, they do it every year. And they make the pyramid. But they're very tricky. They get to the top. Oh, he pulls it up higher. Do they do that in India too? Right? They almost got it. He yanks it. Right? But finally, they let it go. They break the thing. Out comes Mukkan, right? Yeah, they do that in Panama. This is twice now that they've done it. Matki. That's right. That's what they were telling me. Matki. Yes. Well, they just had packets of butter. They didn't have sweets this time. So if something is beyond your reach, you say, well, don't bother with it. So that's Parikshit's question. If God is adhokshaja, transcendental, beyond the scope of your senses, then why study Bhagavad Gita? Why do devotional? Forget it. But Shukadeva Goswami says, no. Even though the absolute truth is adhokshaja, transcendental, still, if he wants, he can reveal himself. So now the question becomes, under what circumstances will God reveal himself? That's the real question. He will reveal himself, but now you have to ask yourself, under what circumstances? And that is very simple. Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhaved Grayam Indriyai Sevon Mukehi Jibadao Swayam Eva Spuratyadaha. Swayam, personally, Spuratya, he will manifest to you, but what? Not to your blunt senses, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhaved Grayam Indri, not to your blunt, but to your purified senses. And how do you purify your senses? Devotional service. And in this verse, specifically it says, your devotional service begins with the jivada, your tongue. That's where your service begins. And what was Lord Chaitanya's movement? Chanting and tasting prasad. Just with your tongue, you can perceive adhokshaja, who normally is beyond your senses, but with this same tongue, you use your tongue to chant simple melodies so that everybody can chant, and taste nice rajma offered to Krishna, or curd steaks, or nice rice with dal, or chapati. Am I making you hungry? You honor Krishna Prasad, and when you chant, gradually he will reveal himself to you. This is the process of Krishna consciousness. He will reveal, even though he's at Hoksaja. And he'll reveal himself without any covering. In other words, as he is. That's what we want. We want to be Krishna to reveal himself to us without any covering. Therefore we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. Some other time we'll do the purport. It's a long purport. It needs to go over carefully. But for now, let's do the verse one more time. Again, who spoke this verse? Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is the best of what? Best of Vaishnavas. He is the greatest of all the demigods. Right? Mahadev. So he says, I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva. So if it's good enough for Lord Shiva, it's good enough for me. I will follow in Lord Shiva's footsteps. Why? Because Krishna consciousness is pure consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.